Okay, good evening everybody. Thank you very much for coming along this evening for Mgen Labs inaugural or first event, partnering with TAFE tonight. My name is Christopher Boyd with Mgen. I'll be hosting for this evening. We've got some wonderful speakers. It should be a very informative night, so I hope you will enjoy it. Firstly, we're just going to have Richard Barrett he's the head of creative industries here at the TAFE of Coomera, and he's just going to do a little introduction for you.
Thank you everyone and welcome. I'm going to start with the acknowledgement of country. TAFE Queensland acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country throughout Australia and respect the continuing connection to land, waters, cultures and family that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples uphold. We pay respect to elders past, present and future. We recognize teaching and learning has taken place on country for over 60,000 years, and two-way learning is an important part of our reconciliation journey. A little bit of housekeeping, in case there's an emergency evacuation requirement, we just go straight out these doors that you came into and out the back doors by where the pizza is, and we marshal out in the car park. If you need facilities, toilets, they're at the other side of the hallway down here, so you come out here, you go right, and then in behind the theaters, there's a hallway there and the toilets are there. Okay, so our relationship with education and blockchain started, I think it was around 2018, 2019, when we first started having some conversations with Austin and Nathan from Blockchain Collective. And from there, we then looked at getting involved in delivering the qualifications that they had set up through ASQA, and we put on advanced diploma of applied blockchain, which they helped us with in terms of getting up, and we got that up on scope, and we've been running it ever since. So it's been as with anything that we put in new, it takes a little while to roll through, and that's in terms of, do we understand what we're doing? Have we got the right staffing mix? Have we got, we get all of that in place before we start, and then you've got to get it out, you've got to get it into the market, and then what are the outcomes most importantly? So, what's the value for the students? Are we starting to see some outcomes? Can we see some outcomes? And, arguably, some people will say that this area is potentially a niche area, and that's an argument for another day. But ultimately, when we did start to, people didn't really know, and a lot of people really don't know what is blockchain and what does it really mean and all that kind of stuff. So the courses have been going really well, and I really need to congratulate the teachers and the students. It's a unique mixture as opposed to all the other courses that we have here. So I run this campus, and they're all the creative industries courses, the IT courses. But the blockchain course, the student mixture is a lot different than what we would get in here. So generally we'll get in here in the other courses, school leavers, younger students, things like that. Whereas you'll see that the value and I guess the real outcome of the courses is that the students come from a varied background. They're usually generally a little bit older. They have been working in industry, have a passion for what their interest is, and they learn and apply the blockchain applications to that. So I saw last year some presentations from students in another small event we had that just blew me away in terms of where they come from in their story. So you'll see a bit of that tonight. I'd like to, so on that, I'd like to congratulate the students and teachers for initiating this event. This was initiated by them, not by us here. That we normally do it. It's really great. I didn't really have to get people to do stuff, which was nice. The initial concept of came from one of the students, Barry Lee, and Barry's here somewhere. Where's Barry? There's Barry. Yeah. And Barry is also a TAFE Queensland Gold Coast student ambassador as well. So Barry wanted to, had an interest in developing opportunities for students in his course to connect and share ideas and experience. The collaboration with students and teachers developed into Mgen Labs, which is, you can see the banners there. This group operates as a community of practice to share ideas, experiences in blockchain, and develop presentations and support project outcomes. Chris Boyd's involved with that as well, in his capacity with his company, and also as a student, and also one of our teachers that's here tonight, Babu is here as well. So you'll see the potential of some of the presentations and the technology, both by the students and also by the keynote speakers that are here tonight. And then lastly, I'd just like to thank the keynote speakers for coming here and giving their time tonight. And that's Darren Rogan here at the front, Austin Loonsmith from Blockchain Collective, and Anthony Stinziani, hope I pronounced that right, CIO of Gold Coast City Council. So thank you guys for coming and giving me your time tonight. Really do appreciate it. Enjoy the night. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so just a little bit about Mgen before we get to our first keynote. I'm just going to run through a little bit. If you guys just want to take a quick snap of that, it's a proof of participation NFT for you tonight. Just in keeping with the Web3 theme, I thought we'd pop that for you. I should really take a photo of this. Everyone with their phones. If you need to get it later, it's okay. We can pop it back up. Okay. So, Mgen Labs formed in 2022 by 3 individuals originally. 2 of them are here. Andrew Hill and Evelyn Chet over here in the corner. They formed it basically to create a community, and they partnered with BK Han, who is a Singapore-based NFT specialist. And then after that, Babu Pillai came on board through the relationship with the Diploma of Applied Blockchain here with TAFE, and then myself and Jamie Cow as well a little bit after that. So we really liked the idea of what they were putting forward in relation to building a community under the brand of Mgen. So that's number 1, that's what we're trying to do around blockchain. And number 2 is education. Education is key in this space for us, because obviously it's emerging, it's still emerging, there's still lots of stigmas out there, particularly around crypto assets. So we're trying to build that education base. We're all still learning as well, obviously, a lot of people are in the space, so we're just trying to build that education side of it up as well. And that'll bring us to connection then, which is getting people together, getting you guys together. So one thing we found with the course being online, we weren't meeting people, so it's great to get people together. There's lots of good meet-up groups around, so we're just sort of trying to build on that as well, to get people together to connect. Okay, so that's basically, I don't really need to read this out, I'll just in case I've already said it. I'll get off the stage quickly. So just briefly, what we're talking about is Web3 tonight. And most of us, the older of us in the room, will remember Web 1, remember the dial-up signal, remember the Netscape, which died pretty quickly. Very basic email, very basic informative web pages. That's where it started. Then we moved quickly on to Web 2 in the early 2000s, which is kind of where we still are now. Highly connected, smartphones, social media, lots of interactivity, still obviously all on the internet, but that's your Web 2. And now, where we're looking to go, we haven't quite got there yet, but we're on our way, is Web 3, which represents the next phase of the evolution of the web and internet, and potentially could be as disruptive and as big of a paradigm shift as Web 2 was. Web 3 is built upon the core concepts of decentralisation, openness and greater user utility. Okay? Trustless, permissionless, those are the keys around Web 3. And it's really important to, I guess, get the education of that out there for us, because that's when you speak to people, all of you guys that have been in crypto or blockchain, you speak to people and they go, oh, that Bitcoin thing. And obviously we all know it's much bigger than that. So applying these core principles of trustless, decentralised, permissionless within the Web3 space is key for us moving forward, and that's what we're trying to sort of get out there as a message. And then we're obviously going to look at AI and I guess the benefits and dangers involved in that around Web3. Okay. Now here is a video of BK Han. He's the Singapore-based member of Mgen Labs. Obviously he can't be here tonight, so we prepared this for you.
Hi, I'm BK Han, co-founder of Mgen Labs. Mgen Labs has been in the forefront of building inclusive communities for Web3 and emerging technology. We have created these events for the Web3 community to come together, to exchange ideas, to spark conversations, to find collaborations, and also to connect with others who share the passions for the latest technology. Thank you for being here. We hope that this evening is informative, inspiring, and let's dive into the Web3 world together.
And we have a special sponsorship that we've arranged tonight for the student application presenters. We have 4 of the 10-gem hardware wallets to give away, courtesy of Australian Hardware Wallets and the Tangem Hardware Wallets, Swiss-based hardware wallets. I didn't actually know too much about these guys until I found out from the Australian Hardware Wallets guys, and it's quite an impressive product. This is just a little sponsor-based video on them. I think you'll find it interesting because I certainly did when I watched it.
Hi there. If you are watching this, you probably own crypto already or consider getting it. What if I told you that all your crypto assets can fit on a single card? With Tangem Wallet, you can buy, store and manage more than 1,000 cryptocurrencies simultaneously. Trade on exchanges, buy NFTs, use any decentralized service. It has never been easier and, more importantly, completely secure. No more wires, chargers, batteries. All you need is Tangem Wallet and your phone. Keys to your wallet are generated and stored on your card in complete secrecy. Nobody can access them, they are always offline and cannot be stolen. The official Tangem app on your phone lets you take any action with your crypto assets in just but a few taps. To confirm the operation, you just need to tap your cards to your phone. Simply secure. You are probably wondering, what if they steal my actual card? That's nothing to worry about. You can connect 2 or 3 cards to your Tangem wallet. All of them are passcode protected and can't be used without one. So this one is well out of luck. Modern solutions require modern protection. In Tangem Wallet, all your keys are equally protected. No more notes or seed phrases that are so adored by the thieves. Only the owner has access to their funds without any compromise for security. So, how does Tangem Wallet work? At its core lies the unhackable secure element. This chip, a microcomputer if you wish, is contained in the form of a card. It is certified to the top level of security, which is used in passports and credit cards, EAL6+. Your keys will be kept secure for at least 25 years. With Tangem Wallet, you can open the door into the cryptoverse and get right in the middle of it. All you need is to tap your card on your phone.
Okay. Without further ado, I'll bring our first keynote speaker up. It's Austin Lewin-Smith, who is the man basically responsible for all of us getting together, who's created these courses and administered through TAPE. So please welcome Austin to the stage.
How y'all doing? Appreciate the standing ovation. I thought I'd go about it a little bit differently. Probably, you're going to hear a lot about technical stuff. You're going to hear a lot about some phenomenal projects. You're going to hear a lot, and for me, I guess it's a bit of a watershed moment, because for me, having envisioned this and created it something like 6 or 7 years ago, to be able to be seeing students coming out the other side with projects that are actually ending up with results is pretty astounding. So maybe I'd like to tell you maybe a little bit of my journey and on how we ended up in blockchain and the space, because I'm not a tech guy. So, and when I told my brother, who is a tech guy, he's like a NABS cybersecurity senior cyber architect. By the way, we've started a company called Blockchain Collective. He went, he died laughing, right? So we, before Blockchain Collective, we really had not a lot of, experience around tech. We decided we'd started trading a little bit, and then we realised that when you're trading, and especially 6, 7 years ago, it was an interesting place. Like, you'd make money. You could make money throwing a dart at a board. I mean, it was ridiculous. But the problem was getting things out. And we went along to a crypto event, right? We went along to a crypto meetup, and we sat there and scratched our heads and went, "This is really interesting. Like, these exchanges." But there's not really efficient ways of getting money out or efficient ways of spending it. So we actually, we decided we're going to build that night. We sort of are a bit different with the way we think. We go, this sounds like, and we're a few drinks in, this sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. So we actually built, a marketplace, and we built another concept which we were going to call ethical bribes, but we figured that might have regulatory implications. So we called it incentivized gift marketing, which was basically incentivizing people to interact with advertising messages and then they're being able to actually get a response from that. But what happened, you see, when we had a bit of a tech team going there, we started building this technology and we went, let's hire some people. So you jumped on LinkedIn and you'd see blockchain strategist, blockchain specialist, blockchain architect. You'd see all of these grand titles of people and all of these companies that really had, it was the Wild West. There was really, really nothing. And we kind of went, well, this is great. Now, you only make the mistake 2 or 3 times of spending $10 or $20 or $30,000 on a consultant and then going, hang on a second, my learning curve is like this. This person doesn't know what they're talking about. All they've done is bought and sold some Bitcoin. So that's their experience as a blockchain strategist. So me and Nathan, we decided to commission some research, right? We went, this is nonsense. There has to be someone that has some education. And we looked everywhere. We actually spent, I think it was 50 grand on that initial research piece. And it came back that the only place at the time that was really developing anything was Malta. Malta had some accredited curriculum that they were coming to market. And we went, well, this is ridiculous. You can understand, my background's not in education, right? So we don't own an RTO, we're not a college, we're not a university. So we went, well, this is great. We drew up a business plan. I found my one-page business plan the other day. I had no idea what. I like to say I'm smart enough to know when I'm not smart enough, but this time we were so far out with how long it takes to get things accredited, to get them into systems, then to actually get outcomes. So we decided after looking at that, we went, well, there needs to be some sort of standards. We were already over in Dubai, Singapore, China with our project. So we weren't just. It wasn't just us that was having the problem of not being able to hire skilled people that really knew what they were doing, that could actually step into a project and actually go, cool, here's the things that are going to be a problem. What was happening was everyone was just using cool buzzwords. And let's face it, in the last couple of years, has anyone just heard lots and lots of cool buzzwords? You go and read someone's business plan. What they do is they throw metaverse, NFT, digital payments, digital assets. They'll throw like 5 or 6 different things in there. But then when you look underneath the hood, there's nothing there, right? They really have no way of being able to implement that. So we looked at higher education. That didn't make sense. We looked at vocational education. We looked at the technical side. Blockchain moves so fast, and the technology space moves so fast that that side didn't make sense. But the business side made sense. So we actually decided to completely reimagine. Now, I wasn't a good student at school. I sucked at school. Right? I was like the one that was always sent out in the naughty corner, right? So for me, we wanted it to be something completely different that could actually make an impact to students, where you didn't have to come in and say, I come from one background, or I've got an A in school in math to be able to actually move forward with this. Because, I don't know, can I get a show of hands? How many people in the room are students or... Okay, so we've got a decent amount of people in the room as students, cool. And other people are any, like, just coming along and having a listen, or support friends, or I don't know what you call it. Awesome. So it's good. So you guys are you've come in and you've looked at it, and the cool thing for me is every single one of you would have come in and looked at it for a different reason. One of you might, so I know that, for instance, some people are coming in from a legal perspective and going, cool, I've got a background in law. How do I apply that to blockchain? Blockchain's such a huge, let's use the term Web3, because blockchain pretty much just becomes a spine that interconnects a lot of these other emerging technologies, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, and things like that. So once you can actually secure that data on that level, then, and you can understand that, then you can apply it to pretty much anything. So we commissioned this research piece. We'd realised that we wanted to tip the education system on its head. I was annoyed with the education system myself because of my school experience. So we went, well, what would make things different? Well, for starters, if you're going to write curriculum, you don't want to, in emerging tech, you need it to be current. But you're not just current, you want to be using systems that are really moving into the future. And that's why the curriculum is actually built around blue ocean strategies, which is, working in uncharted waters where things haven't necessarily been done that way before. Circus LA completely disrupted the circus industry. It went from dragging around tigers and lions and bears and elephants to a spectacular, completely different price point. So we basically, back in 2000, we got together a team of experts. We ended up with, and it ended up being the world's first advanced diploma of applied blockchain. And we were like, this is fantastic. We got the world's first advanced diploma of applied blockchain. Now what? Because what we hadn't really thought through was, and I'll keep going, just give me one top, keep going. Oh, yeah. Well, what we really hadn't thought through was we'd gone, okay, cool, we're going to train like 10 teachers, and then they're going to train 10,000 students, and the RTOs are going to do all the work. This is going to be awesome. So my 1-year business plan looks more like my 6-year business plan, right? So, and I think this also goes into a lot of the time having what you have to do inside of the Web3 space. If you're in the Web3, if you're building a project, you're architecting a project, if you've been building projects yourself, you're going to have to pivot, you're going to have to change, you're going to have to realise that not every person that says they're going to do something is going to do it. People are going to say, yep, I'm going to be the best thing you know, next thing you're not. They're going to go, I'm the biggest person in crypto you've ever heard of. 6 months later, they've got nothing to do with crypto or blockchain or anything to do with it. They've kind of got some sort of other job. So it's an interesting one, finding out who the who's who. So it's really taken me on a pretty cool ride, because aside from us building projects, which was the original reason, so we were trying to solve our own problem. We weren't trying to get into education. We were trying to solve our own problem. And that's really one of the things that we did. So, and the outcome of that was, ended up, we've done some pretty cool stuff. We ended up I was on the board of Blockchain Australia for a couple of years. We were over in, advising the Centre for Financial Protection Bureau over in the US, Reserve Bank, Treasury, and a whole lot of other really cool things that you just think, hang on a second, how should I have been qualified to do that? And that's the funny thing, but let's face it, you can become an expert at pretty much anything if you put in the hours, right? So, and that's the thing that excites me, is about all the people in this room that are studying, because I know that every single one has actually got a different project that you're working with. Everyone isn't coming through our curriculum with the same experience. Every single person's coming through and going, okay, I've heard some of the projects that are, I heard one about traceability of hair. I don't know if they're here tonight, but track and trace of hair, but that it's actually from where it was meant to come. Track and trace a supply chain it's an ethical track and trace, right? Knowing things actually came from where they were meant to come from. I guess it's been a really wild ride, but really, I guess the important thing was what our goal was. When we started Blockchain Collective, we had a vision, and the vision was we wanted to create a global standard around applied blockchain.
Just push up, mate.
I wanted to create a global standard around applied blockchain, so that when you went and actually hired someone, when you could go, okay, great, I know that this person is going to have this level of skill. Now, the other thing that was important to us was that it was a skill that could be stackable. So someone could be an accountant and go through our curriculum, and all of a sudden they've got a completely different set of stackable skills where they're able to go into other industry. And that's something that we really have seen. We've seen people coming from almost every background, and Richard touched on this before. And Tate's been absolutely awesome to work with. I mean, it really is cool to do. We had. I remember my first conversation with TAFE Directors Australia, and they said, "So hang on, let me get this right. So you're not a university?" We went, "No." Amazing. Well, okay, so you're a TAFE? No. Well, are you an RTO? We've gone, no. They said, well, how the hell did you get all this stuff through? We said, well, no one told us we couldn't. Then they said, well, how did you get it onto the skill migration list with Home Affairs? Well, we spoke to the Director of Home Affairs. Like a lot of the times you can do things that other people will tell you impossible if you don't think, if you never think it's impossible, or you're not listening to other people. And that's, I think, a really simple thing. I do love the fact that everything's project-based. I do love the fact that every single one of you is coming out with your own innovations. You're coming up. It changes the way that you think. It changes the way that you look at business, and it will continue to do that. Some of the cool stuff we've seen come out is, one of the world's first green metaverse projects. Was one of our students. We've seen NFTs projects, supply chain projects come out. We've had a heap of support from state, local, and federal government, both here and overseas. And I guess but what it really comes down to is the outcomes. And I guess one of the really, really exciting things for me is about the Gold Coast. You see, everyone always tries to talk about Sydney as the tech hub of Australia, and I say bullshit. I say that we have some of the best companies and people here in the Gold Coast and in Queensland region, but Gold Coast has some serious talent in it. And what that means for everyone here is that we can actually grow that. We can continue to grow it, we can leverage off each other, and I know that having Anthony, I can't pronounce your second name, I do apologise, in the room is just an absolute testament to the fact that the Gold Coast city is majorly interested and supportive of tech and being able to actually get their hands dirty and make things happen. So for me, that really excites me. It excites me to be a part of it. It really excites me that we're right at the beginning of it. And let's put Gold Coast on the map. Get rid of anyone else's pipe dreams of being the tech centre of Australia, because it's us. And thanks. And if anyone's got any questions, wants to talk a bit more about time, right? Yeah. All good. Then just come up and have a chat. But cheers.
On that note, I'd like to welcome Anthony Stinziani, I got that one right, the Chief Information Officer from the City of Gold Coast. Anthony's going to talk about governance and innovation and what the city is planning and or how we can work it in with blockchain and Web3. So please welcome Anthony.
everybody. I get a bit touchy about the pronunciation of my name only because when I was at school, I was at the same school for 9 years. 9 years. I got to the final celebration at the end of year 12 and I couldn't get my name right. I've got the double barrel because I'm an Anthony rather than Anthony. So, particularly when I get my email address out, people get it wrong all the time. But anyway, look, that's a first world problem.
Can you set the record straight then? And tell us and pronounce your last name?
Stinziani.
It's
exactly as it is.
Well, I just demonstrated it perfectly.
Us Italians are pretty simple. It's pronounced exactly as it looks. Great. Look, just a little bit about me. I've been I'm CIO of the City of Gold Coast. I've only been on the Gold Coast itself for 10 months, and I've only been in the job for 10 months. So it's very much a learning experience for me at the moment. I've got a background as a CIO in federal government in Canberra. I moved up from Canberra. I'm loving it on the Gold Coast. I've also got a science agency background, so I worked at CSIRO and I was CIO of Geoscience Australia as well, so I understand data. The scientists do data really well, and it's not something I've seen replicated across other organisations, but I'll get to that in a tick. So for me, I'd like to focus on two streams today. I've got 10 minutes and I'll stick to that 10 minutes if I can. The first is around how the City of Gold Coast is really keen to engage with the education, research, innovation, entrepreneurs, startup, local industry sector around solving City of Gold Coast problems. I'd love to think that I've got a staff of around 250 people who work in IT. As is the case with most government organisations, and this is quite normal, so don't hold us against it. We're about N-5 or 6 when it comes to our capability of those people. They're very good people who are really good at doing industrial strength ICT, but we're not at the leading edge of innovation. And what I'm seeing is the potential here for a public-private partnership with people in this room, with the wider education research sector to help us solve problems by the application of this technology. And in doing that, there's an uplift. The rising tide lifts all boats. That's an uplift that happens there. So we're very, very keen in that case. We're keen to work with you to develop use cases. We think we've got a bunch of use cases, but it's highly likely there's a bunch of other use cases when you throw the new technology of Web 3.0 into the mix that we don't understand or don't know. You all live on the Gold Coast. You understand these sorts of things. I'm sure there's work we can do on development of those use cases. The other stream of engagement that I'm really keen to pursue with the community is around what do you need from local government. At the moment, we've got a world-class dark fibre network that rings the city. It's secure, it's super fast, it's a world-class piece of infrastructure. How can we help you with that? That's one example. What else? What else do you expect from local government in terms of enabling a digital infrastructure across not only the City of Gold Coast, but enables you to connect with your partners and we've already heard Dubai, Singapore mentioned already tonight. How can we help you connect in that space there? I don't know the answer to that, and that's what I want to collaborate on with you all over the next little while. There's a new city digital strategy that's about to be released, probably in another month or two, and I thought I'd just share a little bit about that with you. Traditionally, people who, and this is not a shot against people who've been in my role in the past, it's more an edict from our CEO and our mayor to say, I want the CIO not just to be looking after IT within city, but to be engaging with the wider community on the Gold Coast as well. So that's part of my job. I've been here 10 months, probably spent the first 6 months leading up to Christmas just getting feet under the desk and understanding the complexity of the City of Gold Coast, which is a highly diverse organisation. The last 4 months since Christmas, I've really started to get on my bike and get out amongst the community and understand more. So I'm not there yet, and this is part of getting there. Our new digital strategy has got a much greater external focus. So there's two versions of it. There's an internal version for our staff, and then there's an external version that I will keep in my back pocket when I come out to events like this, and I'll put it on the table and you can have a look at it and we can talk about what it really does mean. And I'll just quote some of it for you. So in terms of some of our focus areas and our outcomes, we regularly attract and retain digital startups, businesses and talent. Gold Coast businesses access targeted and insightful data to make them more competitive. And we collaborate with educators and industry partners to develop innovative solutions that address real city problems. So So they're just two examples of some of the statements that are in there. We certainly want, in terms of our measures of success, growth in digital industries, in our digital industries on the Gold Coast. And we want city-led and facilitated co-creation funding happening as well. So I'm not necessarily in the funding space. There is another part of the Gold Coast City Centre Council that does do funding, and I'm sure many of you have been on the end of some of that. That's not my job. I'm certainly a conduit in there. I'm more concerned around the operations, if you like, of digital and how we can solve problems together in collaboration outside of that, if you like. So the context of my engagement really is around what's going on across the Gold Coast in the education, research, innovation, startup sectors. I don't understand it totally. I'm getting a pretty good idea of it. I love coming to these sorts of events. So I'm getting an understanding of that. What do you need from City? And what can we do for you? Are the questions that I'm trying to get to the bottom of. And what is the role of City in the growth of the Gold Coast digital economy? I don't have all the answers for that. I need this group and others to help me educate me about what I need to do and who and I need to influence and lobby within City and on council to get the answer and start to kick this off. So we're a value organisation too. We're not just collecting the sewage and emptying your bins. We're actually adding value to the digital economy. So we've got a strong desire to collaborate and partner. I'd certainly like to discuss future city digital infrastructure investment, the way in which we might facilitate, that we might play a role in facilitating engagement across the sectors on the Gold Coast, and ways in which City can assist to connect the major digital vendors and employers in the sector as well, because that's starting to happen. Certainly we're one of the larger employers. There's a booming health and research sector that employs a lot of people in digital. And you've got companies like Westpac, for instance, who are moving 200 or 300 developers to the Gold Coast. So it's really starting to take off. So they're the things I'm hearing. I'm hearing that you would like to discuss digital infrastructure investment. That you would like to discuss the things that I'm talking about. And certainly the themes that I'm hearing loud and clear and that I'm really keen to understand. As I said, I'm not having a go at my people there. I'd like to be N-1. That's probably a good position for a government organisation to be in. We're probably not right on the bleeding edge. But I really want to engage and understand how we can apply digital, create a digital twin across the city perhaps. Is that something that we've got a role to play in? How does metaverse, artificial intelligence, automation, predictive analytics, blockchain, how does that apply? How can we apply those technologies to city problems is what I really want to understand. So my ecosystem so far, so I've developed a pretty strong ecosystem across government as well. So already I've made contacts and I'm in good contact with Queensland State Government. So essentially the Chief Customer and Digital Officer, who was essentially I think pretty much the CIO for Queensland State Government. I'm forming those relationships, certainly building relationships with the CIO of the City of Brisbane. They're the largest council, they're on our border pretty much. We're the second largest. CIO of Gold Coast Health, the Local Government Association of Queensland, Oz Industry, the ACS as well. So I'm also building that ecosystem as well, because I think we can't do things on our own, and certainly when you look forward to 9 years' time, we've got something like the Olympics going on. It's going to be a combination of all of those players are going to be in the tent. What I think is something that I'm lobbying heavily around in terms of activity and preparation for the Olympics is an understanding of what is the digital infrastructure that we currently have on the Gold Coast, what do we need, and how does it interoperate with everything else that's going to go on. State government, federal government, the International Olympics Committee, new venues that are going up, technology around spectators and crowd management, technology around competitors as well is really important. Certainly engaging in the university sector. So, I'm engaged already here at Coomera. I've engaged with Bond. I've engaged with Griffith University. Keen from an innovation perspective, but also very keen in terms of starting to create pathways for employment into city IT and other areas of city. We're one of the biggest employers on the coast. If we can get that employment, it doesn't sound family. I'm sure most of you are thinking, God, I'm working for government, bloody hell. But there are some pretty good jobs in there, and it's a good springboard, particularly for students coming straight out of academia to work in government for 4 or 5 years. We'll train you in a lot of things and give you a really good background in industrial strength doing stuff, because there's a lot of, we're accountable to the taxpayer. So that's the main reason for a lot of red tape, is that accountability. And certainly the Gold Coast Innovation Community, I've engaged already with the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct, the Cohort Innovation Space, the Innovation Hub, the Gold Coast Ladies in Tech. I'm big on diversity. I do a lot of work. The last 12 years I've done a lot of mentoring and coaching for women to move into leadership positions in ICT, so I'm a big fan of that, and I think the way IT is going, it's far from just technical roles that are there. It's really important business engagement, understanding of markets, business analysis. There are so many new roles that are starting to become really popular and in demand that are perfectly suitable for a far more diverse workforce than we've got. So in conclusion, what next from this group? I'd love to engage and network with you, of course. I'd like to understand more, I'd like to listen. I'm not in a position yet to make too many promises, but I'm certainly in a position to be influenced and to understand what the needs are of the community. I want to understand your view on the value proposition of City as well. And I think, ultimately to finish up, to finish on and just repeat what Austin said earlier, wouldn't it be great? The Gold Coast should be the tech hub of the country. I've heard the term Silicon Beach used loosely around the place. So that's ultimately our aim. So I'm very keen over the next few months, years. I've signed up for 4 years, so hopefully I'll last. And very keen to look at what role City can play in collaboration with you all, not in competition, in collaboration to establish the Gold Coast as the tech hub of the country. And again, I'll hang around a little bit afterwards if the pizza's still warm. And if anyone wants to have a chat, I'm happy to connect and have a coffee or anything. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. Very, very good. And I can vouch for the city. I've been a supplier for them for 6 years, and there are very good people there, and there are some fun projects to work on. So it's not what it sounds. It is good. Okay, let's get to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Darren Rogan. We all know him. Welcome him to the stage, please. I don't think I can introduce
I'm sure some people know,
Darren is entrepreneur, Web3 builder, startup man. He runs the local Gold Coast meetup group. He's one of the linchpins for blockchain on the Gold Coast, so this will be great. Thank you. I'm sure that's a good 3 minutes.
Just before we do start, I have noticed, Anthony, and Tony, that you have started to appear at a bunch of these events, and I was heavily involved in Brisbane at the start of their ecosystem, and I applaud you for getting involved with the community. And I've seen you involved in Luminex and all the other stuff that you're in, and I applaud you for getting involved. I just want to say that. Anyway, I believe the future is blockchain, and I'm going to explain why and why I no longer do Web 2. This is me, Darren Rugged. If you want to get involved with me, if you want to be entertained, follow me on Twitter. And if you don't like it, don't follow me on Twitter. It's your problem. LinkedIn is there, our Linktree is there if you want to get connected with me, if you want to follow some other stuff. If you want to know more about the meetup, follow through there, you'll see about meetups. I'll also have a thing a little bit later to come along to those meetups. I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I'm originally from Northern Ireland. I did my first startup when I was at university. I actually left uni, well I didn't leave uni, I was still at university, and actually went and did a startup with my professor and the head of the teaching college. Was my first startup. And then did management consulting all over Europe, tech consulting. I am an uber tech nerd. I am 3D printers, electric skateboards, AI models, computer vision, everything you can think of, that's me in a nutshell. But I can also talk. So, there's something there. Anyway, let's get into this. Actually, I should probably say, I have been doing startups for a long time. I was entrepreneur in residence for iLab for many years. I was involved in bringing River City Labs to life, Start Catalyst, a whole bunch of things that I've been involved in. I haven't worked a proper job in a very long time. I haven't had a job title in probably 15 years, if it's not a CEO or CTO role. And I've been involved and raised over $80 million in numerous ventures. One of the best Gold Coast startups that no one talks about, the Safe Site. We started on the Gold Coast here. I was actually involved at the start of it, but I didn't join the company until we did our flip up to the US, and now we're an insurance company in the US, selling in 5 states. And that's probably going to be one of the biggest successes that no one knows about, and they're actually a low-cost company. But what I want to say to you is that the world is going to change. So I don't know if you know who Simon Sinek is. He's a very famous guy, speaker. Start with why is the big thing. But the big point I want to make about this is we all have ideas, or as I like to call them, brain farts. But some ideas are really powerful. But if it only stays an idea, if it only stays in your book, if it only stays in your group of friends, then it's worthless. Ideas are not particularly useful. Now, certain ideas can change the world, but they are spread, they are acted upon. And I want you to change the world. Now, we all know crypto is full of casinos, and I have nothing wrong with casino. You might find me in the casino yourself. But there's much more here than casinos. Just like on the Gold Coast, there's a lot more here than just the casinos. I want to change the world. Anyway, I love this quote. What good is an idea if it remains an idea? Try, experiment, iterate and fail. Try again and change the world. I'm sure I've failed more times than anyone's tried in this room. Why blockchain and why Web3? We've had many technology evolutions and waves, new things that come around. What was your first mobile phone app? Mine was a fart generator. It made 9 fart sounds, and I clicked them. And that was the first app I installed in the App Store. And the next app was a light app, so I could look for stuff, because it wasn't even incorporated then. So we may be very early, but these are new capabilities. We may not be aware of how to apply them, but these are things that were not possible before, that allow new interactions and new things that required potentially people that we no longer need. Can you solve a business on crypto rails? Not everyone is going to be passionate about crypto. I can't get some people to even look at their bank account. You know what I mean? All they're worried about is going to work and then watching the footy. That's it. And they're fine with that. But that doesn't mean they still can't get the value out of crypto. Right? And that is what I call crypto rails. Not everyone needs to be adopted. I like to call it the crypto mullet. Right? Blockchain and party at the back and just street business at the front. We don't need to convert everybody to deliver value. Just like everyone who's on technology today, half of them don't know how any of it works. And they wouldn't believe half of how it works. And they say, nah, it doesn't do that. I'm like, well, I built it and it does do that, man. So just think about those things. We have new problem spaces that didn't exist before. So there are new opportunities. Every time you see a problem, the entrepreneur sees an opportunity. Well, most of the time, unless you look at your bank account. Why I like crypto projects in particular is access to global markets. Global solutions. The Gold Coast is not the biggest city. Australia is not the biggest country. We're only 25 million people. Any startup I've ever been involved in that's done really well is a global business. And this allows you to deliver global businesses from day one. Then we've got capital, crowd capital. I know I have to do a pony dance to get my sugar cube to a whole bunch of rich people who tell me that that's never going to work. That's never going to work. And then they say, why didn't I get in? Why don't I make money like Facebook? And I know the angels. See me at the angel meetings. Some of these people do not take the risks on these technology opportunities and then wonder why they don't have outsized returns. And I say to them, if you go to the horse race and you always bet on the winner, then you're never going to get your 10 to 1, 100 to 1 outcomes. So you have to look at these opportunities. We also have technology companies now that have what are called protocol liquidity. That means that I can build a technology solution and have you bring your liquidity, funds, to power some of it. And I can explain how that can work in real business terms. But the value of the fees and so forth are now shared with the community. That collapses the requirements for us to deliver tangible, meaningful benefits to only the people with capital. Because I can create mechanisms where all of you can bring capital, not me. I don't have to be rich anymore in order to bring certain solutions to market. A can bring a platform and allow all of you to be some of that liquidity. And that's one of the biggest changes in the economic markets of blockchain. You look at Uniswap, you look at all these other ones, they are normal people's funds that are in here. They're not the people who made the software. They are protocol liquidity from individuals. Now, trying to do that with the Web 2 business, that's a nightmare. Plus, Web 3 is really early. There are so many missing pieces to make it useful. My mother-in-law still can't use a bloody TV, you know what I mean? There are so many usability things that need to be supplied in order to make these things beneficial for everyone. Innovation isn't necessarily the smartest code. Most innovation that I do is actually making things cheaper. Why is it better? Because it costs less money. Well, I like that, we'll do that. Right? Is it easier to use and is it cheaper? Well, yeah, well then let's go do that. And I don't need to say, I've got the best blockchain, I'm using OpenAI with ChatGPT, with LimeGen, with this, with that. Now, don't get me wrong, I love talking about that shit too, right? I'm a big Uber nerd, and I love AI. But my point is that innovation is a lot more than technology. But we have some cool building blocks. New things that you can do that you didn't have before. We have the concept of a token, an abstract thing that can be applied to lots of stuff. It can be used for liquidity, it can be used for ownership. But because of the decentralized nature of blockchain, if you say we've talked about protocol liquidity, Uniswap is a great example, which is an exchange which allows you to convert one asset to another. I can supply both of those assets if I have them, and people switch through them, I get fees. Now, how do I know that you're not going to run away with my money, like a bank? Right. Well, I'll gamble them. No, we have another bank on under tonight, by the way, folks, so tomorrow you'll see another bank. We have a token. You can withdraw your liquidity at any point because you have an LP token, a liquidity provider token. I'm going to Uniswap 24 hours a day and say, no, get my money back out. Try getting more than $5,000 out of your bank. It takes you like 3 days. You want more than 10 grand? It takes you like 2 weeks and you have to fill like 5 questionnaires. There's a lot here. Soulbound tokens. Now, soulbound tokens, I believe, are going to be really important, but just not yet until account abstraction comes in. But that is basically like a stamp on a passport, right? An immutable stamp in a given wallet. And it will be the future of accreditation, in my opinion. I don't even know what the fuck my degree is. I'm not supposed to swear. I don't know where my degree is. I've got a degree from Queen's University in Belfast. I have no idea what the bloody thing is. I think it's in my mum's house in the roof space somewhere. No one's asked for it in years. But we do have lots of issues where we have immigration. We have people coming from all over the world. And you can buy a degree on the black market. It's pretty cheap. So these things are going to become more and more important. With the concept of stablecoin. A stablecoin gives you the benefits of using blockchain without the volatility. There are lots of ways we try to do it. Now, hopefully the government will pull a finger out and allow us to actually do it here in Australia. Because it means we can move around money and enable payments and so forth, giving you that crypto rails without actually giving any volatility. We've just seen Circle launch a charity donation mechanism where they can use NGOs and charities. It may have killed one of my businesses in doing so, but it is still a great piece of technology that's come to the market. And it's allowing charities to deliver money quickly to the people in need through stablecoins. We have DeFi, decentralized finance. I like to think of it as open finance. If anyone knows what a sophisticated investor is, there's a mechanism in access to financial products called sophisticated investors. And it is a classification set down by law. It's there for a valid reason to try to protect you from being scammed. And there are certain classes of investment you're not allowed into. So as a startup guy, most startup investors are sophisticated investors. To get into funds, to get into some of these angel networks, you need to be a sophisticated investor. Or you just need to be really clever like me and they invite you in anyway. Now, there are ways of being one. You need $2.5 million of assets, generally, to be classified as a sophisticated investor. You can get one through education as well, to get into certain funds. Anyway, that's a slight variant. But the point is that the opportunities are high risk. but you're allowed to go to the casino. You're allowed to apply an enormous amount of money on the horses. So I think it's hypocrisy. So I understand why, but I don't understand why I'm allowed to go to the pokies and apply my entire salary into it every freaking week. And I'm allowed to go to the casino, and I'm allowed to go to the turf club, but I'm not allowed to invest in money in startup. Now, DeFi, or what I like to call it, open finance, is a level playing field. Everyone's treated exactly the same. You don't have, like I got a mate who's a personal banker at, he's not at NAB. His job is just to suck up the rich people and sell them more debt, right? He's not going to answer your phone. The debt that they get is priced differently than the debt that you get, because that's the way it is. But in DeFi, everyone's the same. The rate is the rate. You can get into it, I can get into it. Well, mostly. But access is the big thing for them, I think. AMMs, which is automated exchanges, 24/7. And as I mentioned before, Uniswap is an automated exchange, which allows community liquidity, which means every person here, instead of putting their money in the bank and it's sitting there doing nothing, could put your money in there and be earning fees for the usage. JP Morgan have one in Singapore they're using for FX in private pools, using it to do their FX changes from Singapore dollars to US dollars and so forth. So if you think that this is just a small thing, it's not. Like, the banks know that this is the way. Banking software sucks, right? I've been the chief architect of Department of Justice, I've done banks, I've done universities, I've done airlines, data exchanges. Most of the tech sucks so bad. The student enrollment system at QUT from Tech 1, God, this is shit. It is. But it's because it's old. And it's because it just gets bolted on, and no one sort of pulls out the crud and says, what do we need to do? And Web3 has done that. They've said, well, we don't need to do all that stuff. Let's just do what we need to do. And I think that's because it's done by people who want to build solutions and not by committee members. We have NFTs, collectibles, redeemables. They are unique assets. That is the evolution of personal ownership. Everything that you see that's currently done by an asset register will become digitized and will be secured on the blockchain. Which one? I don't know. Who exactly? I'm not so sure. But these are better systems for better outcomes for less cost. That's what innovation is, folks. I don't need to prophesize about the banks and about fairness and money printing. We can just do standard business. I'll give you a better solution for lower price, which saves you money. So would you like free money? Yes, I'd like free money. That's innovation. That's how you get it to work. Verifiable ownership. Super important. Super important. Who owns what? We did just see somebody who didn't own a house. You all seen that on the news? A person who thought they owned a house and didn't own a house? Well, maybe they had verified ownership, and rather than a land registry, you have to go to some person in Westfield and wait for 2 hours for some rando to stamp some shit. We wouldn't have those problems. We've token curated registries. That means that you have to put stuff up, like you have to pay money to list something. So you can't just spam without a cost. And if you put stuff up that's crap, and people say that's crap, you'll lose your money, right? So it creates this economic systems to create better behaviors rather than trying to enforce them with a big stick. We have DAOs, which are decentralized organizations. Very few of them are decentralized, and most of them aren't organizations yet. But if you know anything about corporate law, or like me had to fall down to constitutional corporate law, you will understand that DAOs can be extremely important for how we run companies in the future. If you're involved in multinational companies, like I often am, it is a nightmare to figure out what should be done and organizing times. And as we move to remote work and asynchronousness, I think DAOs enable operations that aren't normally there. I could talk about DAOs for a long time. There's so much in there. Pop-up DAOs for given events, organizations, but primarily it's around devolving the decision down as close to the coalface as possible. You can call it micro DAOs and sub DAOs, but actually correctly structure these. It's not just one thing. and you don't have like votes and you have people to come in, because we do want like a meritocracy where we want the right people to be making the right decisions, okay? And how do we do that? Normally we do that through structured DAOs. But this is an evolving thing, just like corporations. But DAOs, in my opinion, is taking the corporations and moving them into code, right? Rather than just process. Rather than, I don't know if anyone remembers the day, but I used to have to like pay people money to get them to run around pieces of paper to sign documents, to get deals done, and like looking out the window, well, where is he? Is he here yet? Is he here yet? At the window. And then we went to DocuSign. Everyone's fine now. Like, well, this is the next evolution. And then we have staking, which is technically a security, folks, so we'll just leave that one there. But staking is basically putting money in a bank account and earning interest. Now, staking used to be and is used for the underlying economic security of the Ethereum network. And there's some really good stuff. Now, some staking are just marketing ploys, let's be clear. But staking is another mechanism that allows community members or owners of assets to earn a yield. Right? On the assets that you have, you can take those and have a yield. Now, these are all just building blocks that you can apply to lots of different things. Right? I'm not saying exactly how to use any of these, and there's probably new building blocks. And one thing I really love is these are logical building blocks. You don't need to know how to code this. You just need to know how it works. So it's at a level of abstraction that I can now take it into the business room and I can sit with the CIO and I can say, here are all the optionalities that we have. Let's look at your management flows and let's have a look at all your people and what processes need to be fixed and how do we bring this to bear. And that, I think, is something that you don't see a lot. Like as somebody who used to do middleware stuff and did pre-sales for Oracle and middleware tools, the waffle is out of control. So I think, trying to understand how to use these and how to, in the course that you've done, and bringing these together means that the value you can deliver is going to be huge in the future because they're just going to get bigger. But these are prospects that I see. These are opportunity spaces, right? The blockchain is basically a trust system, right? So anything that requires a third-party trust can be digitized and put on a blockchain. Most innovation over the last 15 years has been removing people and replacing it with code. One of the things that we've struggled is with trust. And the blockchain solves this. We have middlemen taking a slice of everything. I hand it to you, you hand it to me, and I'll snap it, and you snap it, and you snap it, and you snap it, and you snap it. And at the end, you're like, where the hell did that? It's like pass the parcel, and you never get it at the end. We can do value destruction because you don't necessarily need as many people. But just to be clear, I'm not saying you're going to replace people. I'm not going to replace you. But in these types of systems, we automate the majority, and then we manually deal with the minority. We have yielding mechanisms that we built upon. But the big thing about blockchains today, and if the government doesn't mess this up, is the money Lego mechanism. You don't have a monolithic single buyer and constructor of everything. You build these components that allows to be built upon by other people. And that's why the collaboration and the evolution can move so fast, right? Because I just build a widget, and you build a widget, and then someone else builds a layer on top of both of our widgets and connects them all together, and it creates a new level of value. Now, a lot of regulators and stuff don't like this, because they just, they're like, no, I'm here to control things. I can't control this, and I can't, no, you all need to do this, and you all need to do that, which just will destroy some of the value if they get to do it. So I'm, also going down to Sydney to complain to Treasury when I can, just be like, whoa, don't be a bloody idiot. We have analysis and insights. The blockchain and blockchain systems are not particularly easy to read or understand. It's like an event system where it just does stuff. It's not a database. So we have like what's going on, what's happening. So all of these, never mind analysis and insights into existing businesses now powered by blockchain because we can see what's happening. Blockchain primarily is useful when there's multi-parties and that visibility of the shared infrastructure. It's almost message bus that can be delivered. We also have discovery, notifications. There's so much happening all the time. How do you know what's happening? How do you know if something's changing? What do we need to do? incentives, rewards, you know, we don't need another coffee app, but there are plenty of ways to get people to do what we want through incentives. You know what I mean? You know, I've got Spriggy at home with the kids, they got chores to do, they get their pocket money. I still have to fight them to do it, mind you, but it's an incentive system to try to get my kids to do what I want them to do. Now, as an architect or a system designer, you can design systems, which is all the tax system really is, folks. It's a bunch of levers to say, well, we want you to start new businesses, so we'll give you tax offsets here. We don't want you to do that, so I'm going to add tax on there. These are incentive systems, and this just brings them right up into the foreground and allows us to do a lot more. We've got Web 3 for Web 2, we've got infrastructure, we've got pooled assets and fractionalized ownership. I could talk about this one for hours on its own. Fractionalized ownership can destroy the value gating on many of the most highest yielding assets. A lot of assets you cannot get into because they have such a high barrier of entry. Right? You can't buy an apartment in Manhattan. You can't buy stock of Hather Berkshire unless you've got, you know, what's that? It's like $5,000 a share or something. I can't remember what it is. So you need that $5,000 just to get in. You want to buy a place in Manhattan, you need to buy the whole place, right? But fully fractional ownership can allow mechanisms to enable access for everybody. So I don't need to necessarily go buy that shit box down the road and own it 100%, which is never going to have the same growth as Manhattan. I can buy a slice of a piece of Manhattan and actually get the same yield, the same quality of investment, and not be priced out of the market. Multi-chains comms is going to be here, and automation tools. But my big point, as you can see with my name, is that these technologies, we don't need to be obvious about them. We just need to bring them to solve real problems. Like, I enjoy, you know, a good meme like the rest of us, but we're here to actually change the world and make it a better place for everyone. And I'm passionate about trying to do that. So let's talk about just a couple of examples and just break them down to some of those tools very quickly. We've got like token proof. This is a Web 2 product, folks. There's almost very little Web 3. It uses QR codes. So we had a problem where you'd have NFTs, because NFTs, digital collectibles, and they would say, we're going to have a private party, but only the people who own my token can come. So you'd rock up, and you go like, let me in, and they're like, have you got it? And you're like, okay. You literally have to take your wallet out and open it up. At that point, you're at maximum exposure when you've had a few bevies. You know, it's like walking down the surfers and someone says you want to come in the club, and I'm like, yeah, I do. Here's all of my money and all of my assets. Please don't rob me in any way, right? Wildly risky, and this removes that risk. But what it does is it becomes a trusted Web 2 party to say we will verify offline, so that when you run your event, you can trust us that we will verify these on your behalf. And it's now becoming almost like an industry standard because no one wants to take that risk because people get robbed. But my big point is this is basically a Web 2 company. You know what I mean? They don't really have anything about apart from verifying existing ownership. You know what I mean? They don't. 99% of what they do is a traditional business. They just read the blockchain. You've got Alchemix. This is an auto-repaying loan system. You take a loan out, and they lock your assets and yield your asset until it pays it back. Now, you can come back and pay off the loan, get your asset out at any time. But can you imagine going to the common bank and saying, here's some money, loan me some money, and once you yield that back, can you give me my money back? They'd laugh you out of the building. Like, I've never heard of anything like this. An auto-repaying loan. That's not possible in the current systems. There's no liquidation. They just hold the asset until it finishes yielding. We've pulled together. It's slightly changed now, but it was a no-loss lottery. You would all pull your funds together, you would go into a yield product, and then they would pick winners, and you would win most of the yields. Right? And a no-loss lottery sounds amazing, because I think a lottery is a tax on stupid people. right? Because I think you do the lottery. Don't get me wrong, all my family do the lottery. No one listens to me. Even my wife does the lottery sometimes, and I'm like, "Why are you doing this? You're wasting your time." She goes, "You never know." I'm like, "I bloody know. I know that, right?" But my point is that these are new things that weren't available before. The concept, just the literal concept of a no-loss lottery, just doesn't exist. And you think if you can accrue enough people, you know, what you could do with this, right? The thing that recently got killed for me, we were looking at doing no-loss loans, of doing charity-based loans that isn't happening anymore, even though the fucking company everything's created. But we were doing no-loss loans for charities. You could deposit your capital in, and we were yielding the capital, and then taking that capital and giving that to charities to loan out to people. And if they don't pay it back, we could get it written off in tax in the US. We were launching in the US until the banking collapse anyway. But these are the sorts of things that you can do that make a real impact on people's lives. But enough about that. If you want to keep getting connected beyond the program, I do run the Gold Coast Blockchain Meetup. It has been going since 2017. I have been running it as the organizer for the last couple of years. It is in the Cohort Innovation Building, not that far away. And we have multiple people. There's a professor from Griffith University, Badu, give a talk at the last one. It is an open community event. If you've got something you'd like to cover or you've got questions, I'm more than happy to cover any subject that you want. And if you want to hear me talk, if no one else does it, I talk on a given subject. And if you want to come have some fun, I've organised an event on the 22nd of May for Bitcoin Pizza Day. We have rented out the Meta Bar in Congata, and it's a private party. And you can buy a ticket and you can come along. You get a on delivery. And it's more trying to get people together in the room who are passionate, who are interested, and we don't know what's going to happen. I've been in the startup scene for a long time, and the best thing to do is just get people together, and interesting things can occur once you're all in the room together. And I try to do that as much as I can. Not necessarily there's any benefit out of it for me, apart from pizza, good conversations, because my wife is sick of me talking about blockchains. But the big point I'd make, we used horses for thousands of years. Cars came around in 1910. The world was different in 1930. We didn't have sidewalks, we didn't have roads, we didn't have trucks, we didn't have any of those things. Can you imagine the change that people went through in 1910 to 1930? We have blockchains, we have ChatGPT, we have AI, we have computer vision, we have self-driving cars, we have a commercial space industry, and they're all coming together now. So I believe we're going to have more and more inter-transactions between people, between autonomous systems, and they're going to need blockchains to do it. They're not going to rock up to a bank and wait until 10 o'clock on a Monday and sit there so they can do a bank deposit. Like, our current system is not going to manage the interactions and automations that are going to occur. We also have the infinite content age about to start. Right? I love AI and computer generated and voices and images and messing around with a bunch of that stuff. And I can make almost anyone say anything these days now with enough time. I normally only do like quick ones, but you spend enough time, you will see videos in the next election, 2024, that are completely and utterly fake. You already see, I saw one of the Pope in a puffer jacket, and I thought, bloody, he's looking stylish. And it was computer generated with, right? But we're going to see this over and over. So how are we going to know where content comes from? We need a trusted source. That's going to be the blockchain. How are we going to enable automated systems to talk to each other backwards and forwards? Just because the VCs have dropped us like a toy and run off to AI, what they don't understand is these AI agents will need to pay for APIs. I'll need to pay for this one, I'll need to pay for that one. They're not going to run these 90-day net terms aggregated out. Even the RBA are looking at instantaneous settlements of GST as one of their pilot projects. The future is digital payments, and it's on the blockchain. Never mind IPFS, interplanetary storage, and is Dogecoin going to be the coin of Mars? Who knows? Elon coin? We really don't know. But my point is, that we are in such an inflection point of existing technologies that the future is ours to create. And you in this room are going to be able to make those changes. So I look forward to seeing what you do. Happy Star Wars Day. And forth be with you.
May the fourth be with you.
Thank you so much, Darren. That's amazing insights. How are we doing? We all good? Bit restless? Any more toilet stops? We all okay? All right, we'll get in. We just lost one of the students who I was going to make go first, so that's all right. Vijay, would you like to come up and start? Yeah. Okay, so these are now the student blockchain application presentations, which have been born from the course. So we'll get into our first one of this. That's all right.
Hi, my name is Vidya Pai, and today I am going to talk about the use of blockchain technology in recruitment. Blockchain is a digitally distributed decentralized system that automates intermediary functions in a transaction. It has the ability to do this securely, quickly, and with immutable trust. And recruitment is a very high-touch and personalized service industry. The entire recruitment process, right from expression of interest in job to onboarding and beyond, involves extensive human-to-human interaction. There is intense scrutiny to access job skills and cultural fit all along the way. Companies take hiring process very seriously. Most companies conduct 3 rounds of interview, whereas companies like Google conduct around 7 rounds of interview before offering a job. Bad hiring is done by HR managers or recruiting agencies when the job seekers falsely showcase their information in their resume. As per a survey conducted by LinkedIn, about 34% of the job seekers had falsely, there were lies, from small lies to complete fabrication, where they came up with degrees or diplomas they never had, or claimed to have gone to schools they never went to. And even the recruiting agencies find it difficult to reach potential candidates from employment marketplace like seek.com, which is already overflown with a lot of resumes. This is the existing recruitment process. The HR creates a job vacancy and sends the recruitment details to the agencies. Agencies check existing hiring pool and LinkedIn and shortlist the best candidates that match the requirement. Screening is again done by the recruitment agency. It is most important and time-consuming process. It is basically a step that decides whether the candidate is eligible for the required role based on the academics, work experience and other information provided by the person in the resume. The whole recruitment process depends on trusting what is written in the resume. And in case of a fraudulent resume, the whole process has to be repeated, which results in increased time, cost and effort. Hence, there is a need for a system that saves every job seeker's accurate details as an immutable record. Just going to the next slide. So the proposed blockchain looks like this. Job seekers will have their educational details, previous employment and any certification, etc. But a 100-point identification is performed for the first time before entering the job seekers' details into blockchain. Basically they need to upload their details like birth certificate, passport, license, etc. On successful verification of these details, every transaction of the job seeker can be saved to the blockchain as an immutable record. In addition to this, the job seeker will now have control of his own data to share with whom and when. The blockchain will also hold company's basic details. HR will now be posting the job requirement directly on blockchain, and a manager or peer from the same company who is more experienced will be doing the initial screening and forwarding the resume details to the hiring manager. Since the blockchain has verified details of a candidate, the time required for whole recruitment hiring process is reduced. Also, disintermediation of recruiting agencies will contribute additional cost savings for the organization. Talking in terms of 9 building blocks, customer segments are the candidates who apply for the job. They can be fresh graduates from the universities or experienced professionals. Value propositions would be freedom, flexibility, and transparency for the job seeker, as now they have a control of who can access their information. Auditing and compliance of data will be easier as transactions are traceable and accessible. Smart contract eliminate the need of middleman to enforce contracts or perform any background checks. Blockchain-based resumes can be verified for their accuracy and authenticity, speeding up the hiring process. This decreases cost per hire and time to fill matrix. Also, on successful hire, system automatically credits some reward amount to the authorized person who did the screening, as well as some part of amount is credited to job seeker who shares their resume. Blockchain technology streamlines the steps required to authenticate identification, process payments, manage records. This enhances customer experience and also helps the organization to improve their standard operating procedures across their organization. This implementation builds trust in applicants as details are now up to date and cannot be tampered. There is ownership and control of data for job seekers, as they can share their details with recruiting managers or line managers as and when required. And there will be transparency throughout the hiring process. Due to disintermediation of the recruiting agencies, jobs are now directly posted on blockchain. Other channels will be still in place, that includes mobile apps, websites, etc. However, the candidate will have to apply for the job only on blockchain. Subscription fees, licensing and advertising fees will contribute to revenue streams. In addition, employer brand recognition and employee retention rate would also contribute to revenue streams in long term. Blockchain software and hardware maintenance, there will be saving. There will be some cost incurred that includes blockchain software and hardware maintenance. Also, recruitment and advertisement fees for other channels. Since blockchain implementation will save all the records as all the verified records as immutable, there will be reduction in cost per hire, and complication of candidates assessment is the time consumed is less, as no resumes will be simply taken at face value, and there won't be any recruitment agency fees as previously incurred. I have tried to fit the new flow of value through this diagram. The first flow is where the job seeker applies for. The first flow is where job seeker applies. The job seeker adds detail. For example, a new certification into the blockchain. They add the new details and send a link to the two of his professional referrals. These referrals have to log into blockchain and then verify the details. Only after successful verification, the server sends them to IPFS, where a document hash is created, and smart contracts execute with this document hash. An immutable record gets added to the employee's existing details in blockchain. Another flow is where HR creates a new vacancy and the job seeker applies for it. Authorized person requests for the resume from job seeker and they share it. Then the authorized person forwards potential candidate details to manager. Manager asks HR to arrange for an interview and HR sends the detail to candidate. Manager interviews the candidate and sends successful interview details to HR. HR performs verifications and sends offer letter to the candidate. HR saves these new details in the server and smart contracts are run and new details are saved in blockchain. So the benefits of blockchain implementation in recruitment process includes disintermediation, which definitely decreases the cost, time and effort for a hiring process. And there are now verified resumes and certifications in the system. Smart contracts has a lot of benefits ranging from speed, transparency, accuracy to trust and security. Auditing and compliance is easier as the transactions are traceable, they are transparent and accessible. There will be better efficiency in screening and secure data retention. This is the infrastructure with Ethereum protocol, Ethereum platform. Let us have a closer look at the risks. Disintermediation is definitely a benefit, but the authorized person is responsible for doing the initial screening and finding a potential candidate. In contradiction to this, if that person doesn't do his job, then there might be adverse impact. And other limitations with respect to Ethereum protocol and blockchain implementation would be interoperability, hacker attack on the computer, malfunctioning of Ethereum protocol, or hacker attack on the platform. In short, blockchain has a lot of scope for easy accessing of documents, document verification and adding the details of the job seeker as an immutable record. It can help organizations to build a strong and confidential employee database, and also in future blockchain can automate the entire proceedings, keeping the workflow simpler and less complicated. Appreciate your time and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Vidya. Fantastic. That was really good. So, Diego? Yeah.
Okay, guys. My name is Diego. This is TNK Puzzle. All right. What's the idea with TNK Puzzle? TNK means the missing key. What happened is something missing in the middle that the people don't understand yet, and that's where we come in. All my project is based for international students. Why? I had a background in international students in UK, then I moved to Australia. I'm no international student, but my brother is, my friends are, the people that work for me, they are international students. And I figured out that they have so many troubles to live here in Australia in so many different ways. So what we want to fix is that opportunity to enjoy Australia. And once you finish here in Australia, you did something with your life, even if you spend 3, 5, 10 years here. So what's the problem we are solving? We are solving all these problems. you can read it once and once. Yeah, I think that's the last one. All right. So what we want to do with our project is try to create a community that is trustworthy. We want to give them access to live and travel and work in Australia. We want to give them the opportunity to grow financially. We want to find affordable houses for them and eliminate all the costs that gets translated to the international student. Why? When we have so many middlemen in the ecosystem, all that cost gets to the student. So when they want to move to Australia, they have to pay so much money for every single thing. You want to rent a place where to stay the first week, they're gonna charge you. But because you are doing it through the agency, they charge a little portion for that room. Then it's the other person. So let's say it's $150, everyone taking $50 for each piece of the cake. Who is paying that? The student. So they have to pay so much money to come to Australia that they shouldn't, and that's what we want to really fix about it, right? And the high cost that is living in Australia for like Latin community, that is where I'm coming from, right? The difference between Australian dollars and Colombian pesos, Argentinian pesos, Venezuela pesos, whatever it is really hard. So how are we solving this problem? We are doing 4 phases, and I will explain each of them and what's been happening. So I started this project in September 2021, so it's been a year and a half running, a little bit more. In here, the first phase, product and community. I want to ask, who understands the meme from Darren's presentation, from the Trojan horse, with the Reddit and the NFTs? Who understand that? Who did understand that? Everyone that is into NFTs, right? What happened, if you don't know, is everyone thinks that NFT is a scam. That if you get involved, they're gonna rug-pull you, it's nothing to do with them, it's not technology, blah, blah, blah. Reddit sold millions of dollars in avatars that they were NFTs in less than 5 hours. They never say NFTs, they never say blockchain, they just say avatars. And they sold millions of dollars in less than 5 hours. That was the photo that he said. So I just started building my community. When I started building the community, everything was orientated to Web3. I love Web3, I love crypto, I love NFTs, staking, everything that you can think of. And that was in my community. So what happened is I wanted to understand how a smart contract behind of the NFTs works. So I started learning myself. I started watching videos, doing all of this, and I did everything in TikTok. And I built a community, almost the 40,000 people, followers. I created NFT, I sold it. I sold probably 200 of them, of 1,000. But for me, it was a learning curve. How this work? And when I built all of that, I noticed so many mistakes I did that I could fix, because I didn't want to sell NFTs. What I want to use is the token ID, the trust effect, behind of it. Sorry, it's Spanish. Understand what's happening with the token ID and what can I do with it. So I pause it, I clean up my my TikTok, my followers, eliminate all these people that are bots, people that they are not interested, blah, blah. I went almost to, I don't know, 22,000, and since then, I start orientating my content to international students. So this photo was taken on Friday last week. Today it's almost 50,000, 48,000, something like that. That's the growth in the channel, everything orientated to them, how is living in Australia, how is taxes work, things like that, everything orientated to them. So for me, building the community is one of the most important steps. Why? Because people don't understand blockchain. They don't care how things work. They care about what they can get. They don't care if it's thousands of projects behind, they don't care if it's a ton of money, they don't care. They just want the product. So for them, I'm building 3 products, right? The first one is I want them to have the opportunity to rate agencies. So when they came here, the agencies some of them are rubbish, some of them are really good, some of them are the top of the range, right? But nobody has a source where to find it, right? Everyone goes to Facebook and, oh, what do you think about this agency? What do you think about this school? What do you think about this? So I want to create that product for them that is free for you. I don't need it. This is Web 2. This is not Web 3 yet. But this is Web 2, and that's my focus at the moment. Also, I wanted some of the students, when they move here, they have to deal with a lot of economic situations, right? So we wanted to help them, not give them money, but help them in the process. So I talked with a few friends, we create a fund of $20,000. So what we are doing is, someone came to us and said, look, I want to rent a car. Well, they normally rent or bikes, cars, whatever they need for work, right? And they have to pay 2 weeks in front, plus the extra week, a lot of money. And pay rent every week. So in the end, they are losing money. What we want is, look, come with us. I will give you the other half of the money. Interest-free, you don't have to present financial statements. We are not getting money from it. The only thing we want is, look, the payments that you're going to do to the renting place, do it to us, so we can help other people, right? We don't care about nothing else. We don't care about money, just give it back every week. We do a 4 weeks, loan, and you can pay $100 every week. That is the same that you're going to pay to the people that you are renting the thing from. And with that, basically you are owning the product. When you finish in 4 weeks, the motorbike is yours, the car is yours, the scooter is yours. We don't care about it. We help you. Now you can work. You take one stress from your shoulder. You don't have to worry about it. And it's yours in the end of the day. So we wanted to do that. That was the product and community we are building. Then we moved to phase 2, right? This is where everything started coming together. We create a community, right? Last week we created our Discord. It's over 800 people already. In this Discord, we are providing information about people that provide services here in Australia, where to find jobs, everything that helps them to move to Australia. But at the moment, everything is free. Then we're going to have a digital collectible that is the first NFT that we're going to launch, right? I will explain that in a minute, don't worry. And basically, after we have this collection set, we're going to use the token ID and all the information that this gives us to create an ecosystem for the members. So basically, everything that we do in brand deals, ghost marketing, affiliate program, YouTube revenue, everything gets rewards for the community. How are we going to do that? Why we want to do that? Imagine 5,000 people pointing to one link every single time we launch a product, right? Like we make a revenue, I don't know, $50,000, right? All that revenue gets divided into the members. What are we building here? The people that move to Australia, the international student, and getting a small revenue and getting an income. We cannot call it income because it's a legal problem, so delete that. Delete that. But yeah, so basically they are getting a small portion, just living in Australia and being part of the community. Then we want to create, we created the app to disperse the funds, we create a token so we can do it through blockchain, and then in that process we want to create a system that we could manage the information of the international students to fill up all the forms that they have to fill up for the visas, for the insurances. Almost it's the same information, but the people have to do it manually. So for agencies or school, it's typing the whole day, the same information in different forms. So we want to do that for all of them. So imagine we work like a PayPal, let's call it PayPal, right? But for information. So basically, let's say we go to TAFE and we say, look TAFE, how many students do you have? We have this amount of students. Let's put them in this database, and when you need to fill up information, you just click into the student and all the information and forms and everything gets fill up, right? So that's the smart contract that we will start working in that point. Why? I like that nobody talks about the three problems in this industry. Number one, legal. It's a pain in the butt. It's so bad. Like, you cannot catch up with it. And when you catch up with it, you have to pay for it, right? It's really expensive. Legal and development. So we need a budget for that. So that's the point that we're going to start building the smart contracts for that. Then is phase 3, right? What every person wants in life is stability, right? What happened with international students, or at least for South America, is they came to Australia, they lived for 5-10 years trying to get a PR, and is the point that Australia closed the door and you have to go back to your country. What did you do in the last 10 years? You work? Yes. You earn money? Yes. 90% of that went in paying the courses to stay alive in Australia. You know, if you don't know that, yeah, they have to pay courses every year to continue with their visas, right? And taxes and yeah, all of that. So the money goes away. So what we want to do is, with a portion of our community, we want to create an ecosystem that we provide accommodation for international students. So basically, we buy the property, and the property we generate between $1,500 to $2,000 per week if we put 6 students in a room. In a house with 2 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
It's a big room, mate. Big room.
Yeah. But basically, all that money, what happened? We will need a portion of that to cover the expenses of the house, right? And the other portion of the money goes into a smart contract, right? What the smart contract will do, they will divide the money between Bitcoin and Ethereum for 3 years. And that's going to be locked for 3 years. So basically, we are not giving $1 to each of the members. We are letting the financial system run. And when it's the point to sell, everyone will get a good amount of what they invest 3 years ago, right? So nobody can show that, think that that's like a DAO. People will decide, but the smart contract will run. Then, in phase 4, it's where I was focused in the beginning, but it was wrong. So basically what I want is the international students to travel around Australia, to know this beautiful country, to go to Perth, to go to Canberra, to go to Cairns, Whitsundays. But what happened? It's so freaking expensive. Not even I go in the holidays here. I prefer to go to Thailand. I prefer to go to Singapore, right? Last year I went to Bali. Was cheaper going to Bali for a week with my 2 kids and my wife, and my whole family was 14 of us, that go to a Gold Coast for a weekend. That's how freaking expensive is Australia. So basically, with the digital collectibles that we have, and I cannot give the name of them, but they are a huge company in South America. They were in Shark Tank. They got 3 of the sharks to invest in the company, over $5 million in the project. Basically, they create capsules to the people to have a night sleeping in the airport, in shopping centers, things like that, right? So we have been talking with Alvaro, that is the CEO of the company, owner, and my friend for over 20 years, and say, look, mate, what happens if we use these capsules with Web3? And everyone that has the digital collection, you don't have to do anything. We don't need people to run it. They just came with the NFT, they do the booking. The booking, when they arrive, they use the same token ID to access the capsule, and they can stay in there. But what happens if we're using like couch surfing, right? So people will travel around 2 nights, 3 days to different cities, and they don't have to pay. They just have the NFT, and that gives you access to that, because the revenue that we are generating, let us do this. Right? So that's what we want, that the international students can travel around Australia and enjoy around Australia. Right? So, where are we? Through the process, I learned that it's so freaking expensive. So, you cannot pay for it. So, you have to do it yourself. Right? I did it the first time. I find my mistakes, I try to do it the same, but I wasn't in the top of the line. So, who here has heard about Nas Daily? Yeah? Do you know how many followers he has? Around 30 millions, right? He's a really big influencer, he loves Web3, and he partnered with Solana Foundation. And they opened a course for 1,000 people. They got 51,000 applications. I ran the whole process with them, showed them what I want to do, what I have built, my community, all of these things, and I got one of the courses, right? So for the last 3 months, I have been studying with Solana Foundation. The classes is 2 times in the week, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. So it's pretty nice. But I love it. It's really, I don't understand half of what they are saying in the class, right? It's so fast. These guys, I don't know who knows, but blockchain, Solana Foundation has something that is Hell Kitchen in Paris, right? And it's all these developers that they are doing blockchain in Solana. And James is one of the developers, and he just sit down and start writing. So he said in one class, okay, let's create a staking platform. And he just write. And he has something that I didn't know, it's auto-prompts. So he writes something and gives you the next 5 steps. And he just click, 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 and the staking is done in 2 hours. It's really nice. But we are not there. So they give us something, access to building blocks. That's a Solana course, right, that you can go slower of what they are doing in the class. But the opportunity in the class, why I got in there is the people you can meet, the connections you are doing, and the things that you are building. And that's what's going to help me. So if I cannot find someone to work with me, I will do it myself, even if it takes me a few years, because this is a good idea. And I can show it with my community. So I have been working with them. I have been partnering with different people. Yeah, well. So the NFTs contracts, they are done. I will show you how they work in a minute and why we are TNK Puzzle. The foundation is 80%. We are just running the last taxes problem, so I don't want to go to jail, basically. It sounds funny, but you have to think about all of things. Like, the process of the legal, I remember I sit down with the nice people of Blockstars, right? Was the best meeting I have had in Web3 about a project. So shout out for that. And the legal person, she just smashed me with questions. How are you gonna do that? How are you gonna do that? How are you gonna do that? How are you gonna, and I say, well, that's why it's the last phase, because you're gonna help me to figure it out, right? But well, the contracts are ready, the art is ready, the meeting website is ready, the TMK token is in development, the staking and rewards, didn't start with that. The partnerships and collaborations, I have 2 of them, I have few people that like the project. I reject few of them. I did a pitch in the last year in the crypto convention. From there, 2 people come to me and say, I will give you 100K if you want to, but you have to give me 40% of the company. So I asked, okay, and what you are bringing to the table? Well, the money. So I have to do everything, and the students, that is the idea that I'm working for, they are not getting anything because these guys are getting, 40% of the company. So it's taking me longer, but it still works. So I will show you just a piece. Why it's called TNK Puzzle? Like I said, in the beginning of the year, this is all linked to an idea I have that I would like to share with you in one point, and with Dave. I'm running a side project with education in blockchain for my community, for the Spanish community, and how can be that link with Australia, right? What happened is, look, 95% of the people that came to Australia, they just don't speak English. And they just do courses that they don't help them in life, right? Most of them are doing things that, it's okay, I will put it in a minute. Yeah. So they are doing courses that they don't help them, just for the visa point of view. So what I want to do is give them the opportunity, right? They came to Australia, study blockchain in Spanish, and they will get the degree in Spanish, but if they want to get the degree in English, they can do the test in English, so they will get double certification. It's a lot of process in the middle. It's a lot of things to think about that I have been working on. But it's a pretty good idea and a huge market for it. So imagine, we have at the moment around 155,000 Colombians, just from my country here in Australia. I run a survey who will study blockchain in Spanish here in Australia with the visa requirements and everything. And I got 100% request. It wasn't 99. Every single people that answer the survey, they say, yes, I will do. Why? Because if they go back to the countries, if they couldn't make it in Australia, they got a qualification in their own language, and they can apply that knowledge in their countries. Because it's not about building for other countries, it's about what you can take to your country and make your country better. So that's what I like. So it's idea. But I have been working, RTO give me the chance. In December, they say, yeah, let's do it. They hire me like an engineer, expert in blockchain, and for a month and a half, they had me running sales for a nurse course, for a nursing course. Right, so they hired me to work in blockchain, and I was being a salesperson for a month and a half of a nursing course. So yeah, I say, this is not what, this is not what I'm capable of, it's not what I want to put my name on. So why is TNK Puzzle? When you want to talk with the people about blockchain, about NFTs, about digital collectibles, all of this, everything has to be a game. You have to enjoy the ride because it's so new. Like, people don't understand it, so they just want to play. So basically, each
Just click, double click. Yeah.
each phase is an NFT. So this is the first NFT. So when you get it, you will get it like this. When we move to phase 2, right, it's gonna rebuild the NFT, right? But what happened? Why is a puzzle? Because it's 5 pieces, 5 different projects, and the key that we need to unlock the puzzle. So basically, each time you run, you will get one of these NFT just for free, right? You bought NFT, now you reveal it, and now you're gonna have the puzzle. What happened in the puzzle is when you complete the 5 pieces, it's a really nice art. That art has a augmented reality video on it, and then from there, the missing key, you need to take the lock from it. So basically, with the project that I was telling you about in Spanish is the opportunity that they will have with that. So it's a game for them in the end of the day. But each phase that we are fixing, we are developing, they will have economic return. That's what it is. Like, you have to put it because of the law in different words. You have to use words that they don't get you in financial troubles, they don't get you in tax troubles, so you have to be really careful when you use the words. So we are doing rewards, basically, but trying to build something for them. And that's us. That's what we have been building. And yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. So, Darshna, would you like to come up now? Ready?
Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna do a very simple presentation, very short and very sweet. That's how the whole conversation starts on that. This is an application proposal into supply chain. Now, of course, everyone knows what blockchain is, right? It's very simple. In a simple language, I can say it's a data storage in Web3. So every single business that uses the digital transactions, that can imply the blockchain into that. We are just looking at a tiny drop of the ocean of possibilities. When we are looking at the blockchain, it says that right now in 2022, not 2023, 2022, the market research was showing that the market capital is 7.4 billion. And we are looking at, by 2027, going down to about 94 billion, which is like 66.2% growth in CAGR. That means the market is going to grow. In the US, almost every single business is looking at blockchain implementation. Walmart has implemented the blockchain as well. Why? So basically, if you look at the olden age, that's how we started the market. As Darren explained, we have come from a long way, and the technology innovation is amazing. We started trading rice for milk, goats for a house, horses for cows, and then now, slowly, we started using gold to buy goods. Then slowly, of course, the currency came in place. Now we have our phones, we tap our watches, that's a digital money. But this is not the future. What future looks like is this. I can buy my virtual store online in a metaverse, or I can buy an art that I can hang in my gallery online using the cryptocurrency. That's what digital market will look like. Imagine wearing a VR glasses in your couch and going to shopping in Woolworths. Imagine that you can actually go in a shopping center in Paris. That's what future of Web3 looks like. You're gonna be doing all this, sitting in your couch, at the same time deliveries will be coming to your door. It can affect every single way of your business. Simple process of implementing a blockchain into supply chain, it will take your business to global level. Have a look at this. So currently, there is no major issues with the supply chain. However, according to NSW Environment Protection Authority, commercial and industrial sector in Australia, it generated about 1.9 million tons of food waste. We are missing somewhere because of the discrepancy in the data. There was a survey done before Walmart introduced the supply chain into their food initiative. What they did is, one of the VPs of food supply, they went down to the store, they went down to their employees who collects the data and everything. They went down to them and said, hey, those slices of mangoes, I want to trace them. Where do they come from? It took them, the entire team of data, it took them about 6 days, 18 hours, and 26 minutes to get to the point where the mangoes came from. In 2018, so this happened in 2016, 2 years down the track, they used IBM and they put the implementation of blockchain. And then they went down to another store in America and they said, where did the mangoes come from? How much time did it take? 2.2 seconds. Data was always there in the system. It's about the traceability. And that's what future looks like. Current supply chain is still working, it's not bad. But when we are stepping into the future, this is what we're going to have in our hands. When we're going to look at the data, it's going to be clear, precise, traceable, and fast, efficient. So that's what blockchain application is going to give you. It is very simple. Even if you apply, as I said, it's a tiny drop in the ocean of possibility. If you look at it, just applying into supply chain, it delivers the customer right experience already. It takes the business on a global level. What I have done here is, just to explain you, I have taken a Woolworths as an example. It's a very common brand that you use here all the time as a supermarket. So it's very easy to understand. I have divided the business proposal the segments of the business proposal, and I have done the revised business model if we implement the blockchain in there. And then that way we can see the benefits of what it's going to do to our future of markets. So of course it's going to create a greater brand trust, compliance confidence, enhance sustainability, improve safety monitoring, fraud prevention, and reduce waste. How? Greater brand trust. When you buy organic product, do you know where it's coming from? Do you know if the chicken are not kept in a cage and they're kept in an open farm? Do you know what they're being fed? With the blockchain, you can actually, in 2.2 seconds, trace back where that came from. The leafy green salad, which farms they used to do it, what kind of products they used. And that's what future should be, where you know authenticity, where you can trust the brands. And that's what it comes from. When you apply the blockchain to your food chain, you will know exactly where the products are coming from. Compliance confidence, enhance sustainability. Now, as I said, the food, right? The NSW did all this research and found out 1.9 million of food waste. Same thing. People are trying to be sustainable. They are trying to collaborate with Oz Harvest and things like that to protect so that the food is not going to waste. However, sustainability is not achieved. They have failed to meet their targets. Many supermarkets, including Woolworths, in 2015 the report was published and they failed to meet their standards, failed to meet their criteria. What blockchain can provide is a digital barcode. And you can trace which product is going to expire when. You can trace basically which product is needed, when, and you can trace it back to the supplier and send it the information straight away that yes, this product, we don't need it anymore, don't send it back. The communication is going to be so clear that the shelf life of the products will be amazing, and then it will be sustainable. We will not be wasting that much food. Not only that, the toilet roll disaster that happened in COVID, that might not happen again as well. So we will know when the stock is going down and where the stock is going down, and the supplier will be notified immediately. And that is important. That is what we need in our future. Improve safety monitoring, fraud prevention, and reduce waste. Now, I'm not sure if everyone heard about it, but there was a company in Italy, there was a farm in Italy, they used to produce the oranges. Those oranges were delicious because the way they were made, but they were expensive. So what happened? Other people tried to duplicate it, put their stamp on it that they came from this farm. But if the blockchain is in place, you cannot do that. Fraud prevention is important to any brand trust, and that comes with the blockchain. And these are just the value proposition. So when you look at the business model, out of that, this is just the value proposition. This is just the value that is there added. What we are looking now is customer segments and customer relationships. Anonymous customer, Woolworths, as an example I have taken them, they don't know what they're missing. As soon as you put the blockchain implementation, they go global. That means it's exactly like Amazon. Any suppliers can provide them with a smart contract once they have in place that what they want to provide them. Any suppliers can join the chain. And the customers can be global as well. You can buy from Paris their insurance products, as long as, of course, the legality is involved, and of course we have to go through the huge process of that. But that's a possibility, and that's what we are looking for future. Customer relationships, of course, being a decentralized ledger, it will remove the distributor, exactly like Amazon and eBay. You will deal with suppliers directly, and that will reduce down the cost for the customer itself. Administration, data visibility will be so clear that it will actually show you the data in 2.2 seconds. Customer facing interactions. It will be easier for you guys to, even a grandma can put her VR glasses and can do the shopping
it won't be easy. It won't be difficult for them to use the technology. Right now, a lot of people are facing the problems because it is difficult for them to understand. But as we say, technology is getting so better that it is becoming easier for them to use rather than harder. And that's what future is going to look like for shopping. Channels and revenue. Imagine playing Fortnite, and while you're playing Fortnite, you can actually go down to the Woolworths, or you can have a look at the billboard of Woolworths. That's what marketing is going to look like. They're using the digital marketing right now. They're using every single channel. But using the blockchain, it actually puts you in the brand new e-market that you haven't touched yet. Revenue. Of course, cost reduction is happening. You're creating a greater brand trust. You're creating a brand new global market that's going to bring in revenue huge. Now, key activities. Of course, we have to focus on the main activities that happen during the process of the supply chain when we place an order. We're looking at the placing orders, we're looking at the managing the supply, finding suppliers, payment processing, and delivery tracking. One of them main key activity that will be disrupted will be you can actually use your cryptocurrency or tokens provided by Woolworths to buy the groceries. That way, it will actually so easy from future to have that Web3 connection with the help of crypto. And it is the future that we are looking for. Key resources and cost structure. Now it's very simple. We are looking for blockchain developers, more jobs for us, digital barcodes, smart contracts, digital currency, tokens, and every other aspect that can make this happen. Cost structure. Now, of course, as I explained before, it is very, Woolworths will be benefited because of the cost reduction, plus on top of that, the staff will be reduced as well, as no distributor will be there. So procurement team can work directly with the suppliers. And of course, with the streamlined processes, supply chain delays and everything will be avoided as well, miscommunication, explainability, etc. Basically, as we see, all we have done is put a blockchain in the supply chain. It's a very small aspect of the business, and it has affected sourcing, procurement, manufacturing, logistics, and distribution. When we say, let's implement blockchain, it's not, and then it gets complicated. Like how? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? It's very simple. It's applying simple project management features and then going through the implementation process. In a nutshell, you can say, you of course identify your pain points, you identify your challenges, define the scope, what you want to achieve with your blockchain implementation. You go with the implementation draft and planning. That's the main structure where you will need your project managers, you will need your blockchain developers to find out what's going to be your KPIs, what's going to be your CSFs, what's going to be your budget, what's going to be your timeline, deadlines, what's going to be what's going to be your risk, how you're going to manage it, what is your contingency strategies and things like that. At the end of them, you're going to start with the application. Now, how Walmart did it was very smart. They started with the only one sector, which was the food. Same thing we can start with as well. We can start with food, then we can start with deli, then we can start with baby products, then we can start with the hygiene products, and slowly, 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 it can be implemented throughout the business. Of course, after the implementation and application, we need to monitor and maintain. It is very important and essential to maintain the system to ensure that it is running smoothly, there are no attacks happening, and of course we are identifying and resolving any issues if they arise, and on top of that, of course, upgrading the system as a new technology comes by. In summary, all I'm saying is by following these key steps, organization can successfully implement blockchain into their supply chain and keep the benefits of increased transparency, efficiency, and security. And this is what future of business looks like. As Charles Devin said, Charles Darwin said, it is not the strongest species that survives, it is not the intelligent one, it is the one that adapts to the change. Thank you so much.
Really good. We've just got one to go. Barry Lee, we've gone a little bit over, but it's been fascinating. Sure, we've got another hour. Some really good stuff. So I'll just Barry, see quickly. Okay. So. Got the squeaky chair, isn't it? Okay, lucky last. Thank you very much.
No pressure, Barry.
Hello, and thank you for letting me talk tonight. My name is Barry. I completed the advanced diploma in applied blockchain at Queensland TAFE at the end of last year. And by the end of this presentation, I'm hoping that you'll see how business functions in microeconomies, and I'm going to feed you a little bit of my propaganda as well. So there we go. So during our course, we all chose a focus. I focused on the sharing economy. I believe that it draws parallels to blockchain in that you have independent participation, it's community driven, and it's serving a purpose. So with sharing economy, we serve the purpose of reducing waste and also utilising or maximising utilisation of, maximising underutilised resources. In particular, I chose to work with co-working spaces, and the benefits derived from adding blockchain to co-working spaces is that we have a circulating economy that's through tokenization. We can enable a reputation system that's through smart contracts, and we have incentivization through governance tokens. So let's paint a little bit of a picture of a co-working space. I'm sure you already know about co-working spaces. Co-working spaces, we hire out hot desks, office spaces. The one that I looked at more was, I looked at some corporate structures, but also looked at some not-for-profits, and a really underutilised structure was cooperatives and co-ops. Within the co-working space, we have our cohorts in there, which were comprised of independent professionals, freelancers, and also creative types. So you have this gelling of different professionals working together. So we're going to follow the daily life of our protagonist, who is our member here. His name is Aaron, the accountant. So he needs a professional space to run his independent operations, and it's pretty much he just pays for membership. The co-working space provides tokens for him to access business resources, and in this case, it's going to be a hot desk. So if this video plays, yes. So the tokenized flow goes this way, and if he needs to purchase more tokens, he just gives the co-working space money, and more tokens are released for him to access more co-working business resources. So it's coming up to tax time, and we have Maggie, the marketing guru, who needs help with her taxes for her business. So she enlists Aaron to do some tax for her company, and this is a really simple process, really. It's basically like Airtasker, but on the blockchain. everything's contracts and are written in the meta on the blockchain, but the actual funds situation is written on the blockchain itself. So once the contract is completed or the job is done by Aaron, then the tokens are released. And in turn, this enables a reputation system. So think Airtasker, WeWork, etc. on the blockchain. But now you have also a immutable records. So we talked about trust before. It's that trusted information at that time. So now, third step is, we're going to expand the ecosystem a little bit bigger now. So if we bring back our co-working space business resource into it, Aaron doesn't have to purchase tokens. He's earned his tokens through service. He's created some value, and now he can spend those tokens onto his business resources. So again, he doesn't have to purchase more tokens. He can just work for the necessities around him, and we can expand that ecosystem a lot larger. We can have events. We can have investors come in. We can have mentors, business mentors to help out, external parties, external businesses, co-working space can pay for utilities, and if they wanted to, they can mine the native token. And this is all in this microeconomy of token exchange, which the token is the co-working space created token. Okay, let's talk about governance. Yes. So Aaron has worked for a fair bit. He's worked hard at his business, and he's awarded some governance tokens. Actually, everyone's awarded some governance tokens, but not everyone's awarded the same amount of governance tokens. The beauty of go back a step. Our governance doesn't work in, a usual system where we're giving full range to members to decide on, business direction or how the values and any other kind of essential kind of running of the company. Members really are only interested in money, and that is the treasury. Okay, so before we had the stack of funds that were received by the co-working space. That would be the revenue, which would be the sales of tokens, membership, and commission of smart contracts. So we're still having inclusion and community ownership by members, but we're only limiting it to decisions about where that money is going to be spent. So that's why the cooperative works so well, because it was a not-for-profit. We have this community treasury that was made up. But in saying that, not all members are created equal. Aaron is a really studious worker. He has high ratings, and he's contributed a lot in terms of expending a lot of tokens on smart contracts, and also he's visiting the co-working space every day. So his amount of governance tokens is a formula derived from, again, the rating system, the amount of expenditure he has, and also any on-chain and off-chain data. So it's very expandable, and it's very customizable to any kind of, organisation. It runs pretty much the same way as any other governance that you could have. He puts up a proposal, they have discussion on it, and then he can use his tokens to vote on which approved suggestions get the funding. Okay, so yeah, I know what you're saying. You're thinking, okay, 3 steps, Barry, that is a really great model for a co-working space, but what about the negatives part of it? And isn't this model falling into the WEF's master plan of you'll own nothing and you'll be happy? Well, fear not. Fear not of the centralised entities. We say own parts of everything using fractionalised NFTs and be happy. So again, blockchain to the rescue. And in terms of ownership, we want people to be, especially members, to be to have ownership and have a say in their community. And through Web3, user incentives is our main kind of key to it all. And we can customise it depending on what values different organisations have. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. Not important. We have a look at, I've described these microeconomies, and now any organisation or any business can set up their own microeconomy. So think of this co-working space as their own microeconomy with their own token. Now things like Movie World can have their own token, and Dream World can have their own token, and they create their own different values. And what they're doing is it's comparable value that they have to create, and also competitive value, and that's the market that we want, right? So don't think about this whole macro system of the CBDC and it being this really dominant currency. This is what I was going to say. So all these microeconomies are going to be connected through token exchange, and they can be on the same blockchain or not necessarily through cross-chain exchanges. But if they're on the same blockchain, yes, definitely, the exchange is much easier. So back to the CBDC. So don't think of them as the dominating macro economy. Think more of the Gold Coast City digital currency, and where us as members of the community, we can contribute to create value. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we've run a bit over, so we probably might do the panel thing. But if anyone has any questions, obviously meet afterwards, or if you need any more details, just let us know. We're just going to do a little presentation of the wallets now for applicants. You feel free to stay for that, but if you have to go, I understand it's gone over, so all good. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed the night. There was a lot of great information shared tonight. Some fantastic application proposals there, and of course our keynotes delivered some fantastic content for everybody. So hope you enjoyed it, and once again a round of applause for everyone. Okay, you guys want to come up and we'll just show you.
Oh, yeah. Can we get it on cameras and we take some shots for the guys? Thank you.
Surprises.
Enjoy those moments. Big smiles.
Thank you.